Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel EduVibe. Today we will start with the last topic of trigonometry, which is cast rule and the unit circle. So this is grade 11 math and we are doing the trigonometry. And today we are doing the last topic of this chapter, which are the very important topics, the cast rule and the unit circle. Unit circle you can also use in grade 12 math because this unit circle is very important to measure trigonometric ratio of any angle. So you can easily find. So this is looking like a unit circle and this is a cast rule. So cast rule is again the rule uh, to say that where is the sign is positive, where the sign is negative in the sine, cos and tan. So firstly we're doing the cast rule. So cast rule is very easy. So how's this name cast rule? Because we start, this is like our Cartesian plane. So this Cartesian plane has four sections. So we'll start from the fourth quadrant. So this is the fourth quadrant. If we name them, this is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. For cast rule, we always start from the fourth quadrant and go towards the third quadrant. So the fourth quadrant will say C, A, S, T, which is cast, and they all are have a full form of that. So C means cosine, A means all, S means sine, and T means tangent. So what they say that in this fourth quadrant, so cosine ratio are positive. So every cosine ratio are positive in this, which means that if you have a cos theta, if you have cos theta, it has the value, whatever the value is, which half, root 3 by 2, root 2 by 2, so has the always have the positive value. And other than this, so which is sine theta and the tan theta, both should have the negative value, except cos theta. Cos theta has the positive value and sine theta tan theta has the negative value in this. And the reverse of this, so cos theta is the reverse of sec theta, remains positive. Sine theta is the reverse of the sec theta, cosec theta remains negative, and can get cot theta remains negative. Their reverse is also same as their not reverse. For all one, this means all ratios are positive. We have sine theta remains positive, cos theta remains positive, tan theta remains positive, and their reverse one also positive. So this is sec theta and this is cot theta. They remains always positive. For S means sine ratio positive. Now in this only sine theta is positive and their sec theta remains positive. Cos theta negative and their sec theta too. Tan theta negative and cot theta too. So on this side, sine also sine is positive and all are the negative one. And then the last one, so tangent ratio are positive. So which means tan theta is positive and the cot theta is also positive. Sine theta is negative and their sec theta too. Cos theta is negative and their sec theta too. So basically, how can we like in this in cos theta, this x is the cos theta as the like in x or y perspective, versus that value of cos theta is x upon r. So x means this. So this x is positive in that. This is a positive line. So this is positive. And for the r, which we find over there, this also remains positive when we calculate. So this means positive positive will give you positive cos theta. That's how we can do this. So this all perspective you all have to know when you unit circle. So the perspective is more likely used in that. And you had that separate question from the cast rule regarding to this science. So you have to remember this cast rule, memorize this, you remember this, or you have to do only this one for the cast rule. This is the main topic for that. So let's move on to the example of this. So we have to determine the z values of the each of the following trigonometric ratios. So you are not familiar with these trigonometric ratios. Why? Because you only have to know in your table when you do in the previous lesson, you only know the 0 degree, You know 30 degree, you know 45 degree, you know 60 degree, and you know 90 degree. You only know these angles from the table. But from these angles, we can find this whole three things. The sine 210 degree. So how this works? So firstly, you have to know the quadrant of this. So what's the quadrant of 210 degree? Not the sine. This says stay on the 210 degree, say on the theta value. So first quadrant is this. So this is the quadrant number 3. So we have to find the quadrant now. So this is quadrant 3 and you have to find the reference angle. So in the quadrant 3, how can you find the reference angle? So you have to do 180 degree minus 2 theta, which is 210 degree. So reference angle is equal to 210 degree because this is greater. So negative 180 degree. What you get for the reference angle? You get 30 degree. But if you do sine 30 degree or you do sine 210 degree, they both are the same. Why they both are same? We will know this when we do the unit circle. For now, you have to just know this, that if you find the reference angle of any of this, you have 210 degree over there, you find the reference angle of this, and that reference angle, if you put on the sine, like here's a sine, so you put sine 30 degree. So what's the sine 30 degree first? I said sine 30 degree is half. So also that sine 210 degree is also half. And what's the sine? Now the sine method. So sine we have to know from class tool. So this is in the third quadrant, and in third quadrant sine value is negative. So this means that sine 210 degree is in negative. So basically this is your answer. You don't have to write this thing. You don't have to write this thing anymore. You have to just write when you solve the reference angle. You just write this, that sine 210 degree is minus half. You have to just know that is sine 30. You know sine 30 from that table which we do in the previous slide. So the table is very important to know that values. So that's all I have to do. Okay, so next one. Next one is tan 225 degrees. So what quadrant is this? Again quadrant 3. And for reference angle, you have to do 225 degree minus 180 degree. What you get? You get about 45 degrees. So what's tan 225 degrees? So you have to do tan 45 degrees. So what is tan 45 degrees? 1. And this is third quadrant, and in third quadrant the tan is positive. So this means it remains 1, which is positive 1. And this is your answer for it. For next one, you have cos 120 degree. So this is quadrant second. And for reference angle, you have to do 180 degree minus 120 degree. So what you get? You get about 60 degrees. So what is cos 120 degree? So cos 60 degree is half, and in second quadrant our sine values is positive, so cos is negative, so this means negative half again, and you get this. So that's how you have to find your exact values of any angle if you want. So that's the one method. Another method, you can memorize the unit circle. So unit circle, this is filled one. Okay, so this unit circle, if you have ability to learn, if you want to know the trick of to learn this, so you have to do this first. So this is very easy to memorize or very easy to make if you have like exam of trigonometry or you have a final of the whole day 11 math. So you have to firstly have to make this one, because in final exam, in quizzes, in unit exam, you always get the unit circle questions. So you have to make that unit circle first, because the values are directly from here. You have to not do like this much work. You just, if you know the unit circle, you make the unit circle. If you get like in this, you get sine 210 degree. So in unit circle, this one is over there, and this is x and this is y. And there's one thing you have to know in this, that like we have like p s comma y. So in p, your x value is cos theta, and your y value is sine theta. So it's cos या minus sine theta. So this means that minus half is your sine theta, which is sine 210 degree, which is minus half. And you do these all work to find that by insert circle it directly from here. And the rest of it like tan 225 degrees. So 225 degrees over there, and you want tan. So you all know that tan, if you want to find the tan theta, you have to do sine theta divided by cos theta. So sine theta is minus root 2 by 2, and this is multiplied by reciprocal. So it's all cut, you get 1 only. So that means this is a positive 1 of this. And for the cos 120 degree, so for cos 120 degrees over there, and cos is minus half, so you get over there minus half. So for your circle, you can see directly you can do anything. If you want to make this, so let's make this unit circle now. Let's make it red. So first thing, you have here 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree, and again you have over there 360 degree. You start from here and you go all the way to first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. And in every quadrant you have like 3 lines like this, and the 3 lines represent the angles. So first line is over there, this one is your first line, this one, for 0 degree. For starting, this is 0 degree. For ending, this is 360 degree. This is 0 degree, and you have to start from here now. So 0 degree. So this is 0 degree. What is that? Is 30 degree. So 0 degree, after you have to plus 30 degree in 0 degree. So you have 30 degree. Now you have to do plus 15. So 30 degree plus 15 is 45 degree. Again do plus 15. You do that 60 degree. Now you have to do again plus 30 degree. You get 90 degree. So first you have to do plus 30 degree in 0 starting, then plus 15, then again plus 15, then again plus 30. So for this, so you have 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree. Let's make the angle first. So you have 90 degree now. So 90 degree plus 30 degree, 120 degree, 120 degree plus 15, 135 degrees, 150 degree plus 15, you get 150 degree, 150 degree plus 30, you get 180 degree. 180 degree plus 30 degree, you have 210 degree. 210 degree plus 15, you get 225 degrees. 225 degrees plus 15, so 245, 240 degree. 240 degree plus 30 degree, you get 270 degree. 270 degree plus 30, 300, 300 plus 15, 315, 315 degree plus 15, 330 degree, 330 degree plus 30 degree, you get 360. So that's how the angles have been made. Plus 30 degree, then 15, then 15, then again 30. So the first one will happen. So now you have to only know that the what is for the first quadrant, and for the all quadrants have the same thing but have like signs different. So the first quadrant, you notice that this x-axis is positive and this y-axis is positive. So this means when you write this in that form, there's both are remains positive. In second quadrant, x-axis will be negative because this is negative now and this is positive now, so it's negative positive. Then you have negative negative, then you have a positive negative. So this thing you have to know in this, but for the first one you have stays in positive positive, and you all know that, as I told you, that if you have p x comma y, so x is your cos theta and y is your sine theta. So for first one, if you want to do the p x comma y in that coordinate you have to want, so what's that value? So what's that value in? So what is cos 30 degree? Root 3 by 2. You know this from the table. For sine 30 degree, you have half. What is cos 45 degree? Root 2 by 2. What is sine 45 degree? Root 2 by 2. For 60 degree, cos 60 degree, half. Cos 30 degree, root 3 by 2. So they both are remain positive. And in 90 degree angle, your cos 90 degree is 0 and your sine 90 degree is 1. same for 0 degree, same for 360, same for 180, same for 270. And that's all you have to do. So now again, we have on other side. What you have to do? You get this circle, this half circle. Now you have to do this exact half circle into this thing. But now what you have to do, so if there is a 30 degree and you do 3 by 2 half. Now when you do in the 120 degree, you do this interchange. So half goes to the x-axis and this root 3 by 2 goes into y coordinate. So this interchangeable, and you have to do the sign convention too now, because this is negative, this is positive. So x values remains negative now and y values remain positive. So do 3 by 2 comma half, what will give you now? This will give you minus half comma root 3 by 2. For this, it stays the same, but you have to put negative in the x-axis. So negative root 2 by 2, comma root 2 by 2. For the last one, this interchange, negative 3 root 3 by 2 and 1 by 2. That's all you do. Now again, you are on 210 degree. Now you have to again interchange them. If you want to interchange them, you can. If not, you can write these as it is, because these are like not interchangeable. So this can be now again interchangeable, but now both the signs should be negative one. So you have, so what is that? Negative root 3 by 2, negative half, negative root 2 by 2, comma, negative root 2 by 2, negative half, comma, negative root 3 by 2. That's the negative. Now, again, do the reciprocal of these and then do the sign convention. Now do have to do y1 is negative now. So for 300 degree, you have half comma negative root 3 by 2, then root 2 by 2 comma negative root 2 by 2. For this, root 3 by 2 comma negative half. For 360 degree, you have 1 comma 0. So that's how the unit circle can be made. In the grade 12 math, you also have to know the radians one. So for 30 degree radian, 45 degree radian, 60 degree radian, and all of these radian. You do this thing in the next course, which is grade 12 math. So for now, you have to just know the degrees one, not the radian one. So the radian one we do in the grade 12 math for the same unit circle, but just add the radians now. So that's how you can make the unit circle, that easy way. Now, if you don't want, if you do want to do this work, you can skip the unit circle. But the unit circle is more likely the good option to do your sums fast and easy. So that is a whole unit circle which we made. This I also have the radians one. So these are the radians one which I talked about. Okay. So let's move on to example for, now we do the example for how can get questions you get. So this is a question about the Cartesian plane. So if the point minus 8 comma 15 and a terminal half of the angle theta in the standard position, determine the z trigonometry ratios of sine theta, cos theta and the tan theta. So firstly, you have a point minus 8 comma 15. So you have x-axis in negative and the y-axis in positive. So which is that quadrant? This is quadrant second. So you have your initial arm over there, and what's the terminal arm? So terminal arm is all over there. You know, this is your terminal arm. Now you have to ascend that thing in dotted line and that also, and you get the 90-degree angle. And this is just something like the reference angle, but you don't want this. So as I told you when we done previous lesson, you have to know in the y, x or r form now. So this is your x, this is your y, and this is your r. And that p point you have now, which is minus 8 comma 15, from where you can find everything now. So then minus 8 comma 15 is form of x comma y. So from here you can say that your x is equal to minus 8 and your y is equal to 15. So what is r? So you have to find the r now. So r square is equal to minus 8 square plus 15 square. So r square equal to 64 plus 225, and when you solve, so it's 284, which is 70. So you have now x, you have y, you have r, so you can find the sine, cos and tan. So for sine theta is equal to y upon r. So what is y? Y is 15 and r is 17. And also you can check this over there. So it's a cast rule. So C A S S T. So this is cast. In sine value, you have the sine value is a negative. So you get this answer in negative. That's a check you have to do. Quickly check. And for the next one, you have cos theta, which is x upon r. X is minus 8, and r is 17. So in this, you have to solve theta if negative, and also tan theta is also negative. So tan theta is y upon it. Y is 15 minus 8. Also, you can write minus this. So you get the answer. That's how you can do these questions. As I told you, we have equations now in this. So this is kind of the equation, but not the equation, because you have just the value of sine theta is equal to this, and you have a domain. So this all called the domain. So if the domain is like this, 0 degree, theta is greater than equal to 0 degree, and theta is less than 360 degree. So if you have a kind of this domain, like in this too, you have the same domain in it. So this means this include whole the unit circle. So as you see that over there, unit circle is from 0 degree to all the way to 360 degree, and this thing included that whole the unit circle, this domain. But if this not is this domain, like in this only up to 180 degrees, so kind of thing will be different in that perspective. So but this perspective, the both thing is in that domain. So we will all hold the unit circle, not just the part, but we hold the unit circle. So how can we deal with that question? First, you have to in the degree mode. Because your domain is in degree, your answer should also be in degree. In the grade 12 math, sometimes you get domain in radian. So have your answer should also be in radian. But now you have to just do a degree in this course. So you have to be in a degree mode. So you have to solve for theta. So first one is sine theta is equal to 0.5. So what is 0.5 basically? So basically, if we do sine 0.5 degrees, sum like a half. So half is the value of 0.5 degree. So this means what is sine theta is equal to half. Basically, what is sine theta is equal to half. So what is theta when you get the half value? So theta is 30. So basically, sine 30 degree is equal to 0.5, or you can say the half. What the coordinate is this? 1. So this is the first quadrant, and you have that value. And you have this in positive now. So the half is in positive. So in the perspective of the cast rule, if you have to do the cast rule in this CAST, where you get the sign value positive. The sign value in this because all are in the positive, and then in this quadrant. So the first quadrant and in the second quadrant, you get the sine theta of positive value. Because this is positive, so I have to do where that is positive. So positive into first quadrant and the second quadrant. For the first quadrant, you get 30 degree, and for the second quadrant, you have to do 180 degree minus 30 degree. You get 150 degree. So from here, you get the two values of theta. First is 30 degree, comma 150 degree. 30 degree is for quadrant 1. This is for quadrant 2. So that's the answer you have to. So it's all in that domain. Not for 10, not for third and fourth, because these are in this sine theta is negative. You have to check this is positive or negative. So that's all you have to do. For next one is cos theta is equal to minus half, and domain is same as this. So where the cos theta is negative. So cos theta is negative in sine in this quadrant, second quadrant, and in third quadrant. Because cos is positive in this, positive in this. So for this and this, you have two quadrants. Okay, quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. This is minus half. So what's the reference angle? Means what's the theta value? So it's minus half. So theta value is 30 degree. So also your reference angle, if you call this as a reference angle, you can say the reference angle because this is also kind of a reference angle you have to say if you want. So the reference angle is for this 60 degree. For quadrant second, you have to do 180 degree minus 60 degree, which is 120 degree. For quadrant third, you have to do 180 degree plus 60 degree, which is 240 degree. So that's the thing. This is for quadrant 2, quadrant 3. But if you have like restricted domain like this, so you have to be in 0 to 180 degree and 180 degree and 0 should be included. So you have in like first quadrant, second quadrant only. So you have been restricted to 0 degree to 180 degree, including 90 degree too. So you have to set it in that thing, not beyond this, not in like third or fourth quadrant. So what you have to do, so tan theta is in -1, tan theta is negative. So what's the tan negative? You have CAST. So where's the tan negative? Tan is negative in this quadrant and in this quadrant. But the fourth quadrant should not be working because you have a restricted domain. So this not be working anymore. You have to just do this in the second quadrant only. So basically, for what is the reference angle? 45 degrees. And your theta got, for the first one you got like 180 degree minus 45 degree, you get 135 degree. 360 degree minus 45 degree, you get 315 degree. But this should not be the answer. This should be the rejected answer. You get only 135 degree in the quadrant second. So this is the answer for this one. That's all when you have the restricted domain. Next one. So for this, you have given that cos theta is equal to this, where you have a whole domain 0 to 360 degree. Determine the measure of the theta. So the nearest tenth of the answer. You have to answer in the nearest tenth of the degree. So now you get the answer in decimal form. But you can see that this kind of thing we can't do anymore. But this is the z values like minus half, minus 1 or 0.5. 0.5 is half. So these are the z values. But when if you get this complex one, how can you deal with this? So from here you start thinking about the reverse trigonometry. So this is cos theta is equal to minus 0.6753. So where's the cos theta should be negative? So where that two things? Cast. So cos theta is negative in this and this in second and third. Okay. So this negative thing only be given to us for doing that what quadrant is that. This is first, second, third, or fourth. So that negative is only for that, not for the whole sum. Because now when we find like a reference angle, you do the reverse trigonometry, which is cos -1. 0 is not anymore be the thing in this, so 0.6753. Make sure you're in the degree mode. So when you do the reverse of this, you have to click the second first, then the cos theta button, and then put the value in the bracket of this, and you get the reverse of trigonometry of reverse of this is 47.5 degree. It is also equal to theta if you want. So this is 47.5 degree. So this is your reference angle. So for to find the theta in tenth of a digit. So for the second one, you have to do 180 degree minus this 47.5 degree. So you get 132.5 degree. For this one, 180 degree plus 47.5 degree, you get 227.5 degree, nearest tenth of the digit. So you get the answer up like this. You have to show the quadrants in the first or the end. Have to show that. So that's how you can solve like this type of thing. This negative is only for to find which quadrant is that, not for like putting this. So you get the way different answer if you get this, if you do the negative in this. For after doing this example, we completed that unit. Streamet is the unit where in this course you do just the basics. In grade 12, you do the more one, you do graphs, you do identities, you do unit circle more. So that's all for this lesson for now. We will start the next unit of this grade 11 math very soon. And after that, well, we'll have to only 3 units, I think. And after that, we'll start with 3-1, which is grade 12 math. For now, we left with the 3 units. I think we do rational functions or yeah, we do that. So that's all for this lesson. Learning with EduVibe, learn smarter but not harder. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, let me in the comment section. We will start the next tutorial as soon as possible. So see you in the next lesson. Till then, stay ready with EduVibe.